that you want, and the other team has nothing to say about it, those would often be them for mid lane and bot lane.
It would be. So I'm a little confused at DSG letting that through in game 1, but because it's Fearless, they're gone. Can't happen twice.
Can't pick
no
twice.
salty runbacks here. We're going to see what they do for game 2. Yunar, Rumble, Jarvan, the bans from Ido, and Golden Glue waiting on his last ban, denying the Ashe Seraphine. So now the bot lane pairs are getting disrupted. So we're not going to see Ashe Seraphine. We're not going to see Yunar or Lulu as pairs.
Yep. Obviously can still go Lulu with some of the other hyper carries if you want, unless it does get banned out here. But yeah, I mean, 3 of the most popular enchanters are already gone, right? Because Seraphine's banned, and we saw 2 played in game number 1, which are going to remain banned for Fearless. Azir ban is interesting to me. Azir is kind of like more, I feel like, kind of controversial now. You know, at first stand, it obviously wasn't very popular. Some mid laners still just have such a high level of comfort on it that they want to go towards it. But going to be banning both the Azir and the Akali, kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. And it will be the Varus first pick here, but Nocturne is up and available, so that is a potential to set up some sort of a dive comp to try to punish this Varus.
Yeah, very potent first pick, because you also do have the potential to flex it top lane if you feel like the matchup is really advantageous.
Yeah.
Usually banned. I feel like it's been banned the whole day, but comes through here for DSG as their first pick.
And especially when it's someone like Castle, you could actually see him playing it, right?
Yeah.
You know, it is a flex pick, but very few people are going to bust it out in pro. Castle would be someone I could believe would be able to play it and would be willing to go for it. If you're down to play Nasus, you're probably down to play Varus top. So we'll see. It is going to be the Nocturne, though, grabbed up. Of course, Orianna not there to be paired with it, nor is Aurora. Those are the 2 most high priority pairings generally with the Nocturne in pro play. Yeah. So those are gone, which I think is part of the reason why DSG was willing to leave that up. There still are things like Kennen that you can pair with it. Generally, it's Nocturne plus a flanker, you know, that is really powerful, or Nocturne plus that potential shockwave combo, but they are going to be able to take away the Neeko. Neeko Varus, obviously, very common duo down the bot side. And
I'd say with the Nocturne, the Neeko does become a mid-flex much more than otherwise. If this was APA in the mid lane, I'd say it's going mid for sure, but it's Darkwing, so it's a little bit more of a question mark. I think those are 2 good picks into the Varus by Sentinels. Well, we will see what DSG wants to draft for, if they want to just go for something a bit more standard, or if they want to play for lane. So they're going a little bit more middle of the road. Obviously, I don't really consider Bard like a true enchanter, but it is a range support that has a pretty powerful laning 2v2, and it is also something that can give you some engage. And it's a pretty common pick into Neeko. It can negate a little bit of the Neeko's early power. I also wouldn't be surprised, even though it's into Varus, if Rahel kind of shoehorns himself onto Kai'Sa somehow. Because I remember the last time these teams played, there was a massive priority on Kai'Sa. Rahel and Sajed both had insane Kai'Sa stats in LCS lock-in, so it's just a comfort pick for both of them. Even if the lane is a little bit rough, when you pair it with Neeko and Nocturne, you can get some pretty good pairings. Yeah, the other option, if you care more about the lane, would be something like Jhin, obviously. You can go, you know, a little bit more kind of the defensive option, long-range option that can assist with the dive just by opening up on the curtain call. But Kai'Sa is what you would go if you want to just fully commit to that dive, you know, alongside the Nocturne and this Neeko. Has been a blind Ambessa up on top side, so the question is, do you want to counterpick top? And instead, they are just going to grab the Sivir, so gives them some wave clear. And Sivir enables the dive in kind of a different way. If you're drafting some other melee champs, you know, you're just speeding them up, running in, and kind of helping out in that way. Pretty good scaling, able to spell shield the Bard ultimate if need be. So I don't expect Sentinels to have the same type of bot prior they did in game 1, but they should still be able to neutralize that lane and try and outscale as we go into the 4 or 5 bans, with Castle again having kind of his pick of top lane, and now they get to throw bans at impact. Yeah, exactly. I mean, now that you didn't go Renekton or some sort of counter pick on 3, you let that drop, it is going to be protection bans. Renekton is the obvious one. Volibar is something that is more niche, but is still quite popular as an answer into the Ambessa. There's a number of different directions you can go. Honestly, kind of would have preferred if Impact just grabbed a counter pick, you know, grabbed the Renekton on 3, because I feel like Sivir is pretty plug and play and is relatively low priority anyway, so I don't even know that it would have been banned out. And also, fun fact, Impact was the most fearless player of LCS lock-in. He played 14 unique champions. Yeah. In 2020 Summer Split, he played 7. Yep. There you go. It's a new year, new Impact. It is. Fearless helps, but it's also just surprising that he's playing so much different stuff. I really feel like he's taken it as a challenge that he needs to expand his champion pool to extend his career. But they are waiting for the 5th pick counter, really going pretty safe here with DARKWINGS on his Ahri pick.
Yep, so going to be able to grab that Ahri, but it does mean that you're blinding your Ahri when you could have just counterpicked top here. So it's a bit of a denial pick.
I think they only could do this since the Ambessa is still technically holding the flex. So if Impact picks something specifically in Impact, and we know Castle's willing to play Nasus,
then you can move it into jungle.
You're kind of forced into blinding your mid there. So I think that's a pretty good read by Sentinels, even though it does put DARKWINGS in a bit of a disadvantageous position with the recently buffed Cassio, who's really strong.
It is funny that they're hovering the volley, because like I said, volley is one of those counters into the Ambessa. They could potentially take it away and just play it jungle or top.
Double flex it.
But I almost feel like they're just saying, I know what you want to pick, and just kind of hovering it in that way. It feels more of that, and they are going to grab the Mundo. I really like this DSG draft. You have some champions here on 4-5 that are really good for counter engage when you're looking at Cassio and Mundo, champions that are difficult to dive through, and is going to make things pretty tough, I think, here for Sentinels. So now the question is, what are we going to get on the top side? This was the pick that I mentioned, and they are going to go with a Volibar. Volibar's really, really hard for Ambessa to lane into. As you get more levels, as you scale up, you can start to win out in that 1v1, but Volibar just pops the E, walks at you. You cannot trade into the shield. If the shield hits you, you're screwed. If the shield doesn't hit you but hits Volibar, you still have to back off and not trade.
We only have 15 seconds until they can't trade anymore. How much worse is the Mundo matchup?
Mundo just has no chance.
Even worse.
Like, yeah, you would just be relegated to purely farming at max range with cleavers for a long time. So
fair enough.
I mean, you just can't do any damage to him. You don't have enough consistent damage, really.
Not to mention, KryRa really loves playing the Mundo. Picked it in his win over Lion in LCS Lock-In, where DSG really put themselves on the map. But I agree with your overall read of this draft. I'm a really big fan of what DSG has put together. I was not a big fan of what they put together in Game 1, but I think they have really good scaling, really good counter engage, and it's going to put Sentinels in a difficult spot. Sentinels has to do a lot right to not get outscaled in this game.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting to see how they do play it out here, and how Impact is going to be able to pilot this Volibar up in the top side. Not a pick I associate with him, though it is, as I mentioned, a pick that you do think about when you think about counter picks for this matchup. I want to see how many Volibar games he has played all time, and he has 4 in his career. And this is a player with, going on almost 1,000 games played in his career, so not a lot of Volibar games.
I have a Volibar game in my mind. I remember one of them was when he was on Team Liquid and the team had already clinched first and TFT was out and everyone was playing Freljord. So they did a Freljord League comp and he picked Volibar top and won. That's the only reason he picked it.
That's so funny.
I was hoping he'd only ever played it once and it was that Freljord game, but he's played it 4 times.
Yeah. So he's ruined the story. What a jerk.
Oh, he also played it at Worlds against Bin's Jax. That also didn't go well. So I know 2 of them off the top of my head.
To be fair, a lot of matchups against Bin's Jax do not go well.
Yeah, Bin was like 17, 18 at the time. You thought maybe? No, it didn't work.
Nope, didn't matter. This is GSG, and their kind of progression, obviously. In Split 1, Split 2 in 2025, before they started making the roster changes, they really struggled. They were 2-18. In the LCS Lock-In, though, 7-10. Hey, yeah, they didn't win this split, but the improvements have been very big for DSG. They went from a team that was just like a guaranteed loss every week, it felt like, a free win for teams, to a team that is actually competing, is taking games off of top teams, and is really pushing people in a way that I think has made them so much more fun to watch. They are very scrappy. They feel like they're a pretty interesting team. So
absolutely,
it's just cool to see that improvement year over year.
Yeah, I really do feel like, and we'll see if this ends up being proven true throughout the spring split, but every team has a chance of beating every other team, especially 4 through 8 in the power rankings. So I'm really looking forward to having a competitive race for the playoffs here in the LCS Spring Split. And early trading, pretty aggressive there by Sentinels. So Sajed and Lyonz do need to be able to do well in this laning phase. That has been their weakness, because we know Sajed can play so well in team fights. Yeah, and I mean, Sajed, because he is playing the cleanse instead of the barrier, it's a lot more difficult in the 2v2 early, and that's why they traded so aggressively. Rahel just basically ran in and popped barrier and used that for trading. And cleanse is not going to be that helpful at this point in the game for Sajed for these fights, but feeling like he needs it because of the fear tether, because of the charm, because of the root, because of the point and click stun from Volibar. There's a lot of CC. He knows he is going to be a target, so he wants the cleanse for later, but very intelligently, Sentinels do utilize that in the early game to get a nice advantage. 2 Sivers smacking the turret as well. Not as potent as the double Caitlyn's, but still pretty effective there in the early laning phase. And other than that, junglers both just full clearing. KryRa a little bit afraid of this bottom crab looks like he does want to cross to the top side since he has no bot prio, just to make sure he gets one.
Yep, exactly. Wants to cross over to that top side, like you said. They have no bot prio, so knows he could get contested pretty easily. And Callme had push in mid. He's going to TP back here pretty quickly, so should be able to take that away, no problem. HamBak probably just going to get a ward down and look for a recall himself. Yeah, as he has already full cleared, and KryRa will be a little behind the tempo, but there's not even any camps to respawn just yet, so it's not really going to matter for the Mundo.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed with modern jungling, with everyone trying to game the jungle treat system to get an upgraded smite for second scuttle, that you do have like these pretty big forgiving pockets of time since, for instance, like full clearing back down for Nocturne, he's going to delay, maybe even reset before taking Krugs, just so he can get the extra treat at 5:30 when he takes his Krugs. So really no tempo loss at all for either jungler.
Another thing to note is that Cassio actually got buffed on this most recent patch, got a little bit more mana, and slight damage increase on the E, so was already a champion that was seeing play and did get a little buff, so anytime that happens, it is going to kind of push it up a little bit as far as the priority is speaking, because when you're thinking about first stand, it's like Cassio got play, but Cassio generally only got play later on in Fearless once a lot of the top champions were taken out.
It's a big buff. In terms of win rate, you use the E so much, so even a very small touch on the Cassio E is a large amount of damage throughout the game. Impact so far being a little greedy for this plate, but doing very well early on in that matchup.
Yep, as expected, but that definitely made me a little bit nervous. That's one of the ways that sometimes you can kind of throw a matchup is you can't trade back when you're hitting the tower, right? So it lets him get a pretty big chunk down on him for free. But really, as the Ambessa, it's basically about accepting that you can never take aggressive trades. You always have to be dashing backward. You never can allow the Sky Splitter to hit you with the stun, or you are just going to get slammed so hard in the trade because the HP differential is massive, right? You get this big shield and you deal a lot of damage. And HamBak now moving down towards that bot side will be spotted out by the ward. And they do have them quite low, so is posturing to see if there's any sort of angle for the dive, but is going to spot KryRa and just back it off, continue farming. Yeah,
they both know exactly where each other are. As you can see, delaying those camps just a little bit. I hope did they change the jungle treatment mechanic on this patch? I'll have to double check this because normally you'd see a delay on this. So we're going to find out right now, HamBak, if he takes these Krugs a little bit early.
I don't think they did because when we went over the patch, I don't think that was in there. So.
Yeah, so he's going to wait here until 5:30 because he wants his smite. You see it's at 22 charges right now. He wants that to go to 20, and if he does it at 5:30, it goes down by 2 because he's accumulated an extra treat, and now his smite gets upgraded. So that's exactly why Mundo also waited to clear his down. So now when they fight the second scuttle for level 6, their smite is upgraded, and that's exactly why these junglers are a little bit slower at killing their last camp.
Yep, you can see Neeko has gone mid lane. That's that minion icon on the mini-map as KryRa trying to finish this off and will be able to do so. Callme well aware that Neeko could be there and won't be caught unaware as KryRa just kind of laying in wait here for the Neeko, and huhi going to be pushed back pretty heavily. Won't fully chase in for the kill just yet, but the heal has to be popped there by huhi, and DARKWINGS has to back off to defend him.
I do wonder if these junglers are just metagaming themselves a little bit too much. Like, the one jungler I really loved in Lock-In to take advantage of this, like, 5:30 jungle camp was Blabber in a game. Just jumped over the back of the Dragon Pit at 5 minutes and killed it because he knew the other jungler was going to wait until 5:30 to kill his Gromp. But in this case, KryRa, they both did it, and then it wasn't even a contest because of mid-prio being in the favor of DSG.
Yep, you can see Castle doing okay in the trades because he's kind of just avoiding Impact, never letting Impact get that stun down into the Sky Splitter. But as a result, you're having to give up a lot of CS, and that has put him down 25 CS for now. The wave is pushing towards him, so it's going to go down a bit, but still, that is a very significant amount of CS to be following down. Also remember, tickets are still available for tomorrow's games and Tailgate. Head on over to Tixter.com/LCS or scan the QR code to buy now. We got games tomorrow. We got free boba. There's free coffee. There's all kinds of stuff going on at the LCS Tailgate.
Really good tailgate today. Hoping it's great tomorrow as well. I was preferential to FlyQuest coffee. It made me a nice iced latte for free.
Nice. Free is good value.
I think it's spectacular. Trying to get the all-in here on Impact.
Yeah, Impact trying to survive. The Sky Splitter barely lands. Castle could look for a flash kill. Impact was slowly getting whittled down. Has to be careful here. Doesn't want to get flashed on and killed off. Castle trying to get the push here. And he's going to look. He's going to flash for it. And Impact does not react. That's a lazy recall, and I feel like that's one that everyone kind of saw coming when you're recalling there at such low health. The Nocturne ult will come in from HamBak. should be able to get one back here, but in the counter matchup, gets solo killed. Game 1, he's counterpicked, and he is slammed. Game 2, he gets the counter pick and gets solo killed.
Another point for Castle right here. As the wave is going back, doesn't let Impact get back to his turret to catch it. Dodges out of the E as well. And then here's a situation where Impact doesn't have TP, so wants to get as efficient of a recall off as possible. But at this point, like when Castle sees him, you know that it's going to be an execution with his flash.
Yeah, I mean, he has 100 HP, and you have no ultimate to get HP from that. The Sky Splitter is delayed. It's not like there's any sort of instant react where you can bait him in with, a big shield right away. So that was just a lazy recall there from Impact. I mean, yes, Castle got some pressure on him, but you're still up 20 CS. He would have had a good buy, and he would have been in a good spot. Now, that CS advantage does not matter. You're down on experience. You're even on gold. And Castle is going to finish his first item first.
Yeah.
And once Ambessa gets one item, you start losing. It starts getting a lot harder in this matchup if you're not ahead.
That's 3 1v1 solo kills this series so far. So we'll have to track that. Castle really putting on a show here. Did equalize the gold there, but because of the counter pick, more so, he was down in CS early, and I really feel like DSG is very comfortable scaling right now. So the Mundo secured the first dragon, keeping up in his farm, actually ahead of HamBak. I think totally fine giving these grubs over. Just the Cassio, Ambessa getting out of the hard part of the lane, nearly getting to Eclipse, and then the Mundo really just ranking up his ultimate more and more. DSG should be very happy with this 1-1 game state with even gold.
Absolutely. I mean, Callme, we saw him forcing the Spirit Rush there from DARKWINGS. HamBak used his first ultimate just to be able to trade back a kill on that top side. And yeah, when the Eclipse comes in, Ambessa just becomes a whole different champion. The Pop Blossom looking, Lyonz flashes away. Has to be a flashback to safety from huhi as well. The Chains of Corruption came out from Sajed and did push him back.
Yep, so trade of support flashes right there. No ultimate on Sajed. Means they're not going to play aggressive. They don't necessarily need to play aggressive, though. It's not like Mundo is pulling off invades. There's no Drake up for another 3 minutes. There is a Heartsteel as the MasterCard Power Spike moment for KryRa. He would like to get a few cheeky procs, but doesn't need to force anything at this moment. With Mid Prowl, though, might be able to move in for Raptors.
Nice little sidestep there from DARKWINGS, but yep, assisting him on the invade. KryRa here with the help of Callme, and we'll be able to smite away the Raptors and back off. We haven't touched on the fact that also Sajed is going to be playing on hit. Is going to not be the poke style. It is going to be lethal tempo. It is going to be Blade of the Ruined King, and looking for that on hit as Callme goes with the Petrifying Gaze, gets charmed up here. huhi sneaking around on the side, but has no flash or Pop Blossom, so it's hard to think that would get a kill.
It's interesting that he's gone on hit. I feel like they have enough sustained damage with Mundo, Ambessa, Cassio that lethality could have been really effective to just try and get some easy poke on the Ahri or the Sivir, but probably just wants a little bit of 1v1 damage if he gets jumped on by the Volibar and the Nocturne.
Yeah, exactly. Probably just thinking, hey, I'm just going to be hitting the Volibar and the Nocturne in a lot of these fights, and Spell Shield's pretty annoying when you're playing that full poke build, so we'll see how it works out for him. Obviously, is kind of higher risk, higher reward. It's a lot more difficult to position effectively when you are playing on hit. You have to be a lot closer to deal that damage, but DARKWINGS here has the Spirit Rush up and available, is getting poked down a bit as DSG trying to bully their way into the river.
All this for a crab. Early heal by Sentinels as well.
DARKWINGS going to go back in with the Spirit Rush here, looking as they go for the engage with the Nocturne ulti. DARKWINGS trying to finish off Sajed. Sajed is incredibly low. He does get burst down. Maximum dosage popped by KryRa. He is fighting, but Lyonz is running. In comes Castle from the back line, but the ulti misses on the HamBak. The Pop Blossom is back up, and it lands onto Castle. Impact going to try to knock him down, but he's knocked out of the air by Castle and slain. Rahel flashing back, trying to get out. huhi may have to block the briefcase. The Spell Shield comes back up, and they will survive. But Castle, with the reinforcements, makes all the difference in the fight.
Ends up being a 2-for-1 on the side of DSG. Could have been more if that Ambessa ultimate connects. So the early trading already meant no heal on Neeko, and then they get the Spell Shield from Rahel. And that's actually when DARKWINGS and HamBak decide to all in. While they do manage to take down Sajed, DARKWINGS trades his life for it, and KryRa gets a couple nice Heartsteel procs. If that lands on HamBak, I think Castle cleans up, but he's still able to kill him at the end of this. They kill Impact instead. and are able to push them out. So solid fight by DSG there with the scaling team comp. I think they got 3 Heartsteel procs for KryRa and have hit a couple big power spikes. So a pretty big win there for DSG.
Absolutely. I mean, Castle did a good job. Just gets in that backline. They all turn on him, but that meant that no one's hitting Callme. And then the rest of the team just all pile in. You're hitting Castle, but they can't even burst him down. And Impact now, yes, he's almost level 10, but briefly down 2 full levels. And he is going for this tank-style build. And when you fall behind in that, you are not dealing a lot of damage, right? You're kind of just depending on the fact that you're going to outstat them when you are going for this more tank-style build. But look at these trades now. They are getting brutal. And Ambessa just has so many dashes, it becomes very difficult for Impact to really get in there and win any trades.
And who kills Mundo later in this game as well? This is looking really solid.
Sivir is the hope.
For DSG. It would have to be Sivir. Sivir's got to kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
Much like last game.
Sivir kind of has to kill everyone, but they're going to go in here on to Callme. We'll see if they can be able to knock him down. The Fear Tether lands, and he is killed off there by DARKWINGS, and now KryRa going to be pushed back. So nice little pick off there from HamBak.
Really nice. I mean, a flashless Cassio without backup trying to play down towards the river with Dragon up. Nice capitalization there by HamBak.
Impact was fighting pretty heavily there with Castle. Does get a nice little chunk down onto him, but now trying to pull back to that tower. Huhi looking to threaten on the flank here. He's going to be coming in from the side. Rahel is behind them. It's a flanking Sivir going to get flashed on by KryRa. Rahel's in trouble. The Pop Blossom's coming down. They're going to try to turn it around on the Lyonz. They knock him down. They get the kill. Rahel survives. KryRa staying around though, and now Callme going to be TPing back in. Sajed is still there. Huhi can't actually land the root. Rahel trying to cut out. KryRa getting low, but doesn't have enough damage to finish him off. And on the top side, it's a 1v1 between Impact and Castle. Castle is kiting. Impact is coming. The Sky Splitter won't quite land. Takes a bite out of him, but doesn't have enough damage to knock him down. And on the other side, KryRa will be able to eventually claim the dragon. DSG coming out on top.
Really insane sequence there, and KryRa is so greedy on the Mundo. Pays off for him this time as Lyonz has made it back on the map.
The binding going to land there onto Impact. Castle just waiting for the cooldowns to come back up. Doesn't want to go in too early and get burst down, but might have had time for Impact to survive. The Sky Splitter comes down. The shield will land, and he will be able to back it out, but should be a plate probably going the way of Castle if he wants to stick around for it, and he's not going to.
Has to be afraid of Nocturne ultimate since that's going to be back up. That's how long this last play has developed. I don't even know if we'll have time to get a replay in of that last fight, but it was a 4v3 that DSG stuck around for because Callme was going to revive and be able to teleport back, but while you're stalling, it's just an incredibly risky, exposed position to be. DSG get away with it, now have 2 Drakes, and Castle is trying to catch this wave, but there's a lot of Sentinels players here.
Here comes HamBak, the Paranoia going to get dropped. He's trying to cut out, has so many dashes, but not quite enough, and he's going to go down. Sentinels do eventually get him. Made him work for it. It looked like for a second he might have had a chance to get out, but there's just so much DC, so much mobility for them to chase him down, and they get the kill. Looking to try to grab first tower here as well.
And I really like what HamBak and DARKWINGS are doing. They have to accelerate this game on the timers of the Ahri and Nocturne ultimates. If they find a way to find isolated targets, it's one of the most inescapable combos you can have. The triple dash from the Ahri as well as the Nocturne ultimate means you can get your kills as long as the backup isn't there because you're so exposed diving super far in. So at the time, they did a really good job catching Callme in mid lane and a really good job catching Castle down bot, but they have to keep that tempo up if they want a chance in this game.
Yeah, and the problem is, even though HamBak has been very effective, 4KP here at 16 minutes on the Nocturne has been very, very active, like you said, playing around those timers. They're just dead even on gold, and they're down 2 dragons. And Impact trying to look for an engage here onto Callme. The Pop Blossom coming through, but the TP flank is already there. KryRa is here as well, and the Bard ulti will buy some time. Lyonz is here to try to back him up. Castle's in on DARKWINGS. DARKWINGS in a lot of trouble, has to flash out the safety. The Public Execution is going to connect as well as the Chains of Corruption. The Cavalry come in from DSG and crush Sentinels in the top lane.
DSG completely collapsed. They're likely to lose this mid turret as well, though. It's a race to see how much they can get done with this Rift Herald. First turret has already gone over on the side of Sentinels. This is weird. It's like Sentinels actually played a little too fast because this was a fight with no Nocturne ultimate. So they tried to make a fast play with the Neeko, end up getting completely annihilated once KryRa arrived.
HamBak is trying to position for a potential ult here, but there's still backup there for DSG. They have 4 members in the area. TP going to be coming in here, though, from DARKWINGS. They want to try to go for the long chase, but DARKWINGS is going to have to immediately pop the ulti, and look at that! Sajed gets deleted from the map. Impact arrives with a teleport as well. They're going to try to chase down Castle. they're going to get him too. A couple kills going back the way of Sentinels.
My turn now, says HamBak and DARKWINGS, as the teleport ends up being the perfect bait to get HamBak in. They just made Sajed completely disappear right there. So HamBak 4-0-2 now, needs to completely play around this ultimate cooldown. I think in extended 5v5 fights, no chance. But if they can keep this game messy, they'll have a window to victory.
I mean, that damage on Sajed was pretty surprising. I was seeing, okay, he's got cleanse, he's got flash. You can't cleanse death, though. So this was problematic. He got one shot.
I still don't quite understand it, because I guess Ahri just full combo with the Nocturne RQ auto is just enough.
Yeah, I mean, HamBak is very fed. HamBak is really strong at this point of the game, so HamBak, exactly like you said, RQ auto, and it was pretty much just a charm. I don't even know if the Orb Deception came through.
There.
I don't even think it was yet. I think it was just charm and the W from Ahri just insta-died.
Maybe barrier next time. It would have been better in lane.
Yeah.
Cleanse didn't help him there.
Maybe it'll help him later. We'll see. Cleanse can definitely have a lot of value later on in the game, but it is tough. And Rahel now has the Infinity Edge completed. It is going to be the Wit's End on the other side there for Sajed. So trying to survive this Ahri as well as the Neeko that could be flying to the back line. Volley does some magic damage as well, of course, but HamBak is still going to be problematic for him. And Rahel, if he can find those targets, if he has people to ricochet off of, is going to be quite powerful. But for now, there's absolutely no heal cut for the Mundo. And Mundo's healing can be a problem.
I think it will be a problem. Level 13, really been able to power farm here. So HamBak is quite fed, had to be running around the map to get these kills. Has converted on a lot of them, but hasn't stopped KryRa from farming, who is, KryRa has more CS than either Sentinel solo, which is pretty shocking to see.
It is kind of crazy. Rahel taking a little bit of poke there as he was bound up by Lyonz and chunked away by Castle. They're TPing in. Rahel takes another briefcase to the back. He's already at half HP. This is going to make this dragon fight kind of hard, but they don't want to give over just a free soul point.
Yeah, DSG really want to stay grouped up, because unlike other Nocturne compositions with Orianna or Azir, when you group up at the Darkness or even Kennen, that's when you get punished. Grouping up is great against the Ahri Nocturne, so DSG need to make sure no one can get isolated by the Ahri Nocturne combo.
Huhi was trying to look for a flank there, but was going to be marked by Castle. They're going for the engage. Paranoia popped here. DARKWINGS is on the flank. Can he find an angle? He just can't really find anything to go in. Does land a charm, though, and they are able to try to finish off the dragon, but it's taken by KryRa, so they use the Paranoia to just kind of sow some fear on the side of DSG, but KryRa just walks up and takes it.
That was really well played by DSG as a team as they go for more on the red buff.
HamBak in a lot of trouble, has the flash. Will he need to use it? Going to get tagged by that slow and now has to flash. The public executionist was coming through. Going to be hit by the tempered fade as he tries to get over the wall. Rahel there to cover, and that should be all that's going to happen from this.
The reason that was so impressive to me with DSG is the Nocturne ultimate shrinks your individual field of view so much, but it was as if they were not under the Nocturne ultimate, because Cassio was marking Ahri over on the left, and then KryRa still moved in for the Drake. You can look at your teammates' screens when you're on stage like this if you need to, but it's still a very difficult skill to stay oriented. So at first they stay grouped up, but then KryRa just senses Drake is probably low. I'd say the instant that popped up on his screen, he just spammed the smite key and walked out. But that's what HamBak was hoping to avoid by pressing the ultimate. You press the ultimate, you make them back away, you're hoping to just burst the objective and get out of there, but it ends up backfiring because the third Drake goes over to KryRa.
And even DARKWINGS was going on the other side, trying to sell the fact that, hey, we're engaging, right? He spear rushed in, charmed up Callme, but then very quickly KryRa realized, as you're saying, oh, it's not actually a fight, it's a flip, right? It's just going for the dragon. And it went from 1255, I believe, straight to 0, so able to finish that off. Is level 14 now. Of course, the level 16 spike of maximum dosage is ridiculously powerful. Gives you that flat HP for every additional person that is around you.
That's huge.
It makes it so hard to burst you down with a well-timed W. You pop the ult in the middle of everyone, and all of a sudden you kind of are a brick wall, and there's not even an ignite or like anything to be able to apply some healing debuffs to this Mundo. Eventually they will have to be picking that up.
You'd imagine so. But at the same time, like, I mean, it's probably Rahel's third. He's probably going to end up going Mortal Reminder here, but you never know.
Sometimes you just want LDR for bigger numbers, even though it's less effective.
I'm trying to think.
It's got to be Sivir. Sivir is one of the best users of Executioner's Calling, because you can ricochet across the whole team.
But I still want the Lord Doms, because he needs to kill everyone. He needs the damage.
Yeah, it's a tough choice to make. We'll see if someone else is going to be able to, you know, you can always try to do something where you'd like just grab an Oblivion Orb on,
I think
on huhi
Impact
or
should grab an Oblivion Orb and just try and hit people with E.
You're like, buddy, you lost your counter matchup. It's
Yeah.
time to play support. Buy me that Oblivion Orb.
Yeah, Oblivion Orb, lock it next.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's true.
Well,
He
Knight's
needs to
Vow.
scale.
Yeah, he definitely does, but so far, DSG in full control, and especially after taking that last dragon, going to be feeling really good. They're going to go for an engage here over on a castle. Castle trying to cut out, does flash, but will it be back to safety? HamBak is coming in. Lyonz looking for the binding over the wall. Can't quite get it. The public execution will not buy enough time, and the pop blossom on the side connecting onto Sajed. There's the cleanse, but it doesn't even matter. He is knocked down in a hurry. Rahel ricocheting through the team as Callme trying to turn around on the impact. Darkwings looks for the charm. It's going to be sidestepped, though. The Petrifying Gaze does not connect onto anyone's spell shield there on the Cassio Q, but Rahel has to turn, has to fight. The binding from Lyonz across both members is buying a lot of time. HamBak is in the backline, but Callme cannot fall. Rahel flashes in, but now he's on top of KryRa. KryRa's going to have to hit the blast, going to get out of there. Lyonz popping the magical journey, looking to get out. Rahel fighting on the side with KryRa. Rahel needs a spell shield. He doesn't have it. KryRa flashes in, knocks him upside the head, takes him out, and there's the reaction from Golden Glue. He thought that fight was theirs, and now DARKWINGS might get chased down here as well. KryRa's got so much move speed.
Oh, the
hits the Baron to take him out, but it's an execute as a result.
Oh my God, he killed him by accident. Is he still looking for him? He doesn't necessarily. Does he even see the call out that he was killed by a minion?
I think he knows he's killed, but the question is, can they do Baron, right? Like, you would have got the kill eventually, but this does speed it up. And now, are they going to go
this
for it
game
here
is so
immediately?
crazy.
They're
No
TPing
time to
in.
breathe. It looks like KryRa is going to heal up a little bit. Everyone trying to get it. Rahel still dead. DARKWINGS doesn't have TP, so I think DSG can just burst this down.
I absolutely think so. Cassio and on-hit Varus, they shred this thing, so that Baron is gone. And it gives them enough time to recall and to head out and try to claim Soul here as well. Sentinels, this might be their last shot at a reasonable fight.
Yeah, so right now, Sentinels just need to get as much control over this space as possible, shove out as many waves and get vision, because the way they win is with messy fights. That's how that last fight that Golden Glue wanted to be right almost worked. If they can kill Sajed and Callme early, then they'll have a chance to move through that behemoth of a Mundo. Still no heal cut, though. KryRa is a beast.
They're just pushing out the side lanes here, knocking down tower after tower.
Castle
is unanswered. Sentinels just rush over to try to go for this dragon. The question is, can DSG get there in time?
Late.
It's not dying that fast, but it is now down to about 2,500 HP. They should be able to finish it off. The question is, can they escape afterwards? They're going to try to turn around here onto Callme. Rahel with a great sidestep avoids it, and the pop blossom comes in, and they are getting destroyed. DSG pile into the fight, but it's too little too late. KryRa trying to stay alive here with the maximum dosage, but DARKWINGS is looking for more. He hits the charm on the Lyonz, but it's a beautiful self-McHale's as Lyonz runs for the hills. Will survive, but it's only him and Castle that live to tell the tale as DSG show up to the dragon too late and get destroyed.
What an absolute barn burner of a game. We haven't even had time for a replay in the last 4 minutes, and they are now strong, pushing both mid and bot lane by taking the Baron buff off of nearly everyone.
It looked like that was going to be the fight that ends the game for DSG, that gets them soul, that should have set them up, but this flank from huhi, the pop blossom was beautiful. DARKWINGS gets good angle, and DSG was just so late. It's like they didn't expect Sentinels to rush it when they were pushing side lane. They thought they were going to be matched.
Sivir pushed side wave, but DSG didn't have any vision in the bottom river, so they're like, surely 2 people don't start the Drake. That has to be the call, because when Castle goes in there alone against a Nocturne comp, he's going to die at the start of this. Then everyone tries to follow through, but remember, the nearsightedness from Nocturne means they can't see it. They get completely womboed by huhi's flank. And the only thing I can think here, so originally I thought, okay, DSG is just going to trade up in gold because DSG does outscale here. So we'll give you that Drake. We're going to take all your inhibitors, right? Double inhibitor, cycle for the next Drake. But that clearly wasn't the play. I think it's just a straight up misplay by DSG, because the worst thing you can do is funnel in late against Nocturne, Ahri, Neeko, and have exactly what happens happen. So the game is very even in gold again, but the level 16 Mundo is also still going to be Mundo.
He absolutely is still going to be Mundo. Rahel now does have some heal cut, though. DARKWINGS working in for the death cap. But huhi was really all about that engage, and the question is, you know, can you replicate that? Obviously, you're in a much better spot than you were.
Yeah.
But that fight was an insta-kill on Sajed, where it's Pop Blossom into Charm into just insta-death there on the Varus, and he is going Dusk and Dawn third here, so a little bit of AP getting mixed into the build. It's going to be very high damage if he can stay safe, but has struggled to do that in the fights, which is why in pro play people generally play poke, because it's a lot easier to stay back max range and spam out arrows.
Absolutely. Just doing a quick look at everything. DSG has really struggled to keep their side laners safe. I think part of it is because KryRa is prioritizing his farm and his own power so much that he's not necessarily shadowing side lanes as much, because that's kind of what you need to do against things like Nocturne Ahri, is if you're just kind of in the area, you'll make even 2v2s, and it kind of stops the Nocturne from being able to pull off successful ultimates. But in this game, very frequently, HamBak is finding isolated targets.
And HamBak now has the GA, has been able to do a really good job this game. Honestly, playing a great series thus far. KryRa is ahead as far as the experience is concerned, and has that level 16, as you called out. But we'll see if HamBak can be a difference maker. DARKWINGS now has the death cap completed, so the damage definitely ramping up pretty heavily with that buy from the Ahri.
And Rahel is potentially being the savior of the scaling on the side of Sentinels, because the Mundo, Ambessa, Cassio, you think that's just going to scale and scale in terms of damage, but if one of these guys is getting one shot early, now with even the death cap Ahri, that's when Rahel's really going to be able to turn it on at the end of these fights. Considerably ahead in items to Sajed, which is interesting, almost with the Bloodthirster. Surely Sajed is sitting on a decent amount of gold.
Yep, grab the Seekers there. So
yeah, there we go.
Is going to be able to have that to try to respond to any sort of engage. It is one of the nice things about champions like Kai'Sa, like Varus, who can splash in some AP and actually get value from it. You can go Zonias. And Zonias is just such a powerful defensive item against dive like this, where he's getting one shot. And now if you're able to react to the Pop Blossom or a Charm and immune that with the Seekers, that can be a lot of value for the team.
Yeah, really setting up here for this next fight with double Seekers on their carries. Cassiopeia and Varus both having Seekers at the moment, and this next Drake is likely where everyone's gonna collect themselves.
And as much as the Mundo is incredibly tanky, Impact is very, very tanky on the other side as well. He is full tank on the Volibar and is going to be able to create some space. And if he can create enough space, if he can create enough chaos with all these divers, hey, if Sivir is auto-attacking, she is going to hurt at this point. There is the Bloodthirster now complete for Rahel, so on those 4 fully completed items, still does not have tier 2 boots and was just been prioritizing these item completions, but he is definitely going to be a problem and can shrug off any small damage now with that Bloodthirster complete.
I hope he has the Empowered Recall. Okay, he's actually just going to teleport in right away for this flank. They're going. Yeah,
they're going deep here. The Chains of Corruption do connect, but in onto Sajed. They're immediately coming. The Pop Blossom doesn't connect. Look at the Seekers to buy some time, but on the other side, Impact and Rahel trying to deal the damage. Castle comes in. He knocks down one. Rahel's in the middle of everyone. Rahel, that is not where you want to be. He stands, he fights, but he falls. And the cause of death is Blood Force Trauma as Impact is fallen as well. He's got to run for the hills. HamBak and Impact are the only ones surviving. HamBak surely can't get out of this one. Impact has run for the hills and does survive for now. HamBak not so lucky though. DSG win the fight. It's a scrappy one, but at the end of the day, it's 4 for 2.
Really interesting engage right there. I almost feel like Sentinels was trying to lull DSG into the false sense of security because they kind of did the teleport on the Nocturne. So when you see Ahri shown on that top turret, you feel like you have a little bit of extra time to set up, and that's why DSG moves in it. But at that moment, Sentinel says, no, actually we go now. I'd say it ends up being 2 desync though, because they can't combo anything directly with the Ahri. Both Seekers being burned is crucial. That first Seekers ends up being negated a little bit by the Bard ultimate, but it gives him that fraction of a second to move away during the HamBak CC, and it just ends up giving them the Soul as well as the Baron. So a little bit of Exodia going on for DSG after that fight.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Sentinels now. They just couldn't quite coordinate on that engage. Maybe if Impact could have buffered the Chains of Corruption, immune that with your ult, get in there on the backline, it could have been very different. But Impact got hit by the Chains of Corruption as he's running in, lost most of his health, and spent most of the fight running. And then by the time he goes in, there was so much time bought by the Chains of Corruption, then the Seekers on the engage. It meant that on the other side, Castle and KryRa are just doing what they want, and Rahel was getting pressured heavily.
And the really nice thing about winning late game fights with Seekers is you get gold, and you just get him back. Because you can go double Zonias, you don't have to worry about that cooldown, and now they can just immune those engages yet again.
Yeah, and that is going to make it very, very difficult because it's not like you're going to be wanting to go on anyone but those two targets. Don't really have the option, and now you have to deal with that Infernal Soul plus all the scaling problems. There's still a chance if you can find that perfect engage and just delete someone. Obviously, Infernal Soul not going to help with the defenses, but huhi, I think he's going to have to find a pretty perfect
There's a fight
engage.
coming. Callme is isolated, so it's a 5v4 chance if Sentinels want it.
Yeah, DARKWINGS is spotted out on the ward. He is very deep behind them, and he is just going to cut the wave. And this is pretty smart from him, but the question is, can DSG push him back and stop this? They want to Baron buff up that wave, but on top lane, they're looking for an angle onto Callme, who's pushing forward. This is a big wave there, and Rahel needs to get over there to try to clear that out if they want to defend topside, but not going to be able to do it for now.
I'm a little surprised that they didn't pull the trigger. I'm actually surprised that DSG didn't just 5-man against Nocturne Ahri and instead try to 4-1. That's really risky, even if they're able to get a lot of turret damage. Lyonz trying to babysit Callme, but I feel like the Nocturne Ahri could probably get one of them. They're just hesitant to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I guess they're just worried about Lyonz potentially immuning the engage, but here goes now. They're going to go in onto Sajed. Sajed trying to survive as long as he can. Pops the Zonias here as KryRa in the middle of everyone. Callme flashes forward, hits the petrifying gaze, and down goes the Sivir. Pop Blossom in the backline, but does it even matter? They don't have the damage to get the job done. KryRa is unstoppable with Castle pushing forward in this fight, looking for Impact. He's the next target on the list, and Impact is standing, is fighting, is surviving as long as he possibly can, but he's got nowhere to go. huhi trying to cut the wave, but he can't get that done. DSG do lose Sajed, but they take out the Sivir early and they win the fight.
Infernal Soul and Baron doing a lot of heavy lifting there with both AD carries getting burst down. I feel like DSG was kind of trying to bait the engage with their spread out positioning. Ends up working out. They break the middle inhibitor. They go for more.
The public execution comes in. DARKWINGS on the run with the Spirit Rush, trying to get back to the base to heal back up. HamBak and huhi keep them alive for now, and that may signal DSG to just back up, but the paranoia is here. They're going to go in on Castle, but that is a tanky top laner, and he realizes, I do not win this 1v1.
Yeah, Castle says, you want me? You're fighting me? And he just pushes HamBak away immediately. I'd say Sentinels is making this game quite hard, though, for DSG. Even with Infernal Soul, even with Baron, their reward for the teamfight victory is the mid inhibitor and the top inhibitor tower. So Rahel's going to continue to get items, and even if you have an Infernal Soul, those late game Sivers can be devastating.
They really can, and honestly, if Callme didn't catch Rahel there, it could have been a very different fight.
Yeah.
He caught him with the flash petrifying gaze, stunned him up, they burst Rahel down. If Rahel lives through that fight, I mean, the rest of the team was alive for quite a long time. They just don't have the damage. If Sivir ever dies, an Ahri without ultimate is never killing this Mundo. It's just not going to happen.
Definitely not. Looks like he's getting that 100% crit Sivir completely online with lethal tempo, so able to do a lot of work. But it's difficult for the Sivir to hard carry against Cassio because you're always going to be in range of that petrifying gaze, as well as Callme played that last fight. But Baron buff is down, just trying to collect a few plates here, maybe find the right fight. If HamBak sees an angle, again, Ambessa's top lane could teleport in, but it gives windows where Sentinels might try and take advantage.
Yeah, it's just getting difficult because it feels like no one can really match Castle. You have people that can try to wave clear against them, but now that you've lost the tower in mid lane, you've lost the tower in top lane, it gets a lot more hard, but of course Castle has to respect the fact that it might not be a 1v1. HamBak can fly in there.
Yeah, and I'd say the double Zonias as well as the Bard ultimate are really doing a lot of work now to just sustain these fights long enough for the on-hit Varus and the Cassiopeia to end up winning, but Sentinels just got to continue to make this game hard.
Yep. And Rahel is going to try to have to find that perfect angle, find a way to get in there and get that damage done. But as you're saying, there's a lot of tools that can spell his doom. If he does get hit by a petrifying gaze, if he gets stuck in the miasma, if he gets hit by the public execution, really even if KryRa just gets in on top of him unopposed, you're probably going to lose that. So it is very difficult being this short-range champion on the Sivir. And DSG are spacing out the fights quite well, so his job is not easy.
Yep, currently 90% crit. Once he completes that last seal item, he'll be at 100. Thanks to the new AD carry quest as well. Still got a lot of gold if they can continue to extend this game to get more and more items, but this Elder is going to be very difficult for Sentinels to contest.
Yeah, a bit of a weird TP from Castle. He just TP'd from the top lane right to the beginning of the mid lane. It didn't go very far, so that is down, but he does have the TP shield, and it does last quite a long time. So that is up and available. KryRa just zoning them away, stepping in their face, daring them to try to engage onto the Mundo. And Rahel trying to get control of this wave and look for a push. HamBak's on the side, but Sajed now is just going to be soloing the Elder.
Yeah, and they don't have vision of it currently, so HamBak would love to get something over that wall, but has no way of getting vision.
Yeah, it is going down very slow. Online going to be popped there by Rahel. The charm lands on the castle, but it doesn't do too much to him. Rahel can't really find a way in. It's just so difficult for him to step forward and auto attack without being in range of the rest of the damage. And Rahel has eaten some poke from these briefcases. Sky Splitter comes down to be able to spot them out. DARKWINGS going to be TPing back from base now here. The Bard ultimate not going to connect as they are going to pop the Paranoia. Will they go in for the engage? DARKWINGS has Castle low. They're trying to burst down KryRa. They can't quite do it as maximum dosage has been popped, and KryRa is healing right back up, but they're going to try to kite it out. It's a trade now of the max dosage for the Spirit Rush, but the Ahri without an ultimate is not going to have a lot of power.
I don't really feel like Sentinels has a way back in. Nocturne ultimate is going to take so long, but that Elder is still very tanky, so Sentinels have to brute force their way through.
The Castle's looking for a wraparound here. Impact has joined back from base, TPing back in. One briefcase does about 20% of the health there of Rahel, who's trying to step forward, trying to look for this fight. On the side, Castle looking for an engage. Lyonz trying to find an angle for a binding. DARKWINGS in a lot of trouble, has to flash back from the public execution. There's a charm, but it's a flash forward from Castle. He's gone already. HamBak on the side is getting destroyed. Impact is trying to tank it up. The Pop Blossom comes through, but it just doesn't even matter because Rahel is already gone. DSG are winning the fight. It feels like DSG have finally been able to take over. It's a double kill there for Sajed as he gets some revenge after a tough game. DSG gonna take us to a game number 3.
Look at how much Heartsteel health KryRa accumulated throughout this game. An absolute force on this Mundo, could not be taken down, and gotta shout out Callme for tagging Rahel again with the petrifying gaze as DSG even the series.
So tough for Rahel to really find an angle in this fight, and Castle being able to get in the backline takes down the Ahri. DSG not going down without a fight. The year-long series score moves to 5-5. The best of 11 going to be decided next game.
You think these teams are evenly matched, Azael?
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure. We'll see who's better next game.
Lounge, what do you think?
I think Raz is the
best of 11.
Yay!
What happened here?
Yeah!
These teams are evenly matched? All right, guys. Cover your eyes when it comes to the predictions for me.
Yeah, honestly though, oh my goodness. And this one went so long too. You had to